old guy that was at services in church one Sunday, and the preacher asked them if everybody that wanted to go to heaven raised a hand. And there's one fellow right down on the front row that didn't raise his, and the preacher called him by name and said, "You mean you didn't raise your hand? You mean you don't want to go to heaven?" He said, "Oh yeah, but I thought y'all was getting up a load to go today." So that's I'm ready to go, but it'd be all right with me if I'm left a few more years.
Jimmy, you ain't
July.
Yeah. Jimmy, you getting old, boy.
I know, you are too.
Oh.
After retiring from 42 years working on the railroad, Mr. Jimmy Moore discovered a new way to go the distance. More than just a healthy habit, Mr. Jimmy's running became a passion. Some people might even call it an obsession. To celebrate his 80th birthday, Mr. Jimmy set a goal for himself to run, walk, or bike 1 kilometer for every year of his life. That is, 80 kilometers, or more than 50 miles, in a single day.
Would you like to run that or bike?
When word of his plans got out, Mr. Jimmy's private challenge to himself became a challenge to a whole community. In November 2001, more than 100 people came to Prentiss, Mississippi to run, walk, or bike their age in an event that would become known as the Birthday Challenge. At 80 years old, Mr. Jimmy's journey would be the longest. This is a story about a man who always sets his finish line over the horizon, and so he keeps running.
And I'll start at the beginning. Now, Harry Strom, a real good friend of mine, it's always encouraged me to do something, asked me, says, "Are you going to try 80 miles on your 80th birthday?" And I said, "Now, Harry, you know better than that, because I told you I'd never run distance on my birthday again, because that's in the middle of the summer." And I tried that on my 75th birthday, and the heat is what got me.
I jokingly told him then that if he wanted to, he could use my birthday. And so that's one reason it's November the 17th.
I did talk with the dispatcher, and I left a message on a fellow named by Andy, and they have a four-wheeler that's equipped with medical supplies. In the event someone has a problem, they can run down the trail on their four-wheeler.
I believe Bob discussed it with the sheriff. There's a possibility of putting a traffic cone on either side of the crossing.
But I think more than anything else, he sees it as a vehicle in which other people will be helped, and that's Mr. Jimmy.
This friend of mine, Cliff Thomas, saw me walking with Eva, and I had jogged on up ahead, and ahead of Eva, and he stopped and told me he didn't know that I had started jogging. And I didn't know what he was talking about, because I never heard of jogging.
You never heard of jogging, but what did you call it?
Trotting. When you got above a walk, you was trotting.
What about your choice of footwear?
Oh, I was running in my hunting boots. But, I mean, you know, I was trotting in my hunting boots. The third day apparently that I ran a mile. Then I ran a mile and a half, a mile and a fourth, a mile and a half. The next day I ran 2 miles. It seemed like my first race was it was in April of 1980, which was a 5K. And then my next race was a marathon. You know, I was telling you about losing the desire to hunt. You know, so much I think of the hunting and the fishing is being out, you know, within nature, with nature. And so you can do that with your running, too. I love running better than anything else I've ever done, so that's what I did. I saw Eva walking down the street. All I saw, of course, was a good-looking blonde. It looked like she about my age. And I said, "Mr. Smith, who is this good-looking girl coming down the street?" And she says, "Oh, that's that Hawkins girl." But says, "Don't be cutting your eyes at her, 'cause that she goes with the mayor's son, and he's got a convertible." I said, "Well, that does kind of leave me out, 'cause I don't have any wheels." She wrote a letter every day. Sometimes I would get 25 and 30 at the same time. I was the envy of most of the soldiers, because none of them got a letter a day. She would always tell me, "You take it to the extreme, Jimmy. You're always speaking about moderation, but you're not moderate when it comes to running." Well, we would talk about that, and I'd tell her, "Well, moderation depends on what," she would say. Said, "When you run over 26 miles, you have run too far. And do you know why I know? Because you look like death warmed over when you come back from one." I can hear her right now. Sometimes on Sundays, we boys would play fox and hound, and I was usually the fox. And if I went hunting, I couldn't cover enough ground. There has always been something in my inner being that made me never satisfied with what I had done physically. When I began running, I found the answer to that. It used up all the energy that I had. And that was the only time I was ever satisfied.
Now tell me what you're planning on doing. Now, why in the world would you want to bike 40 miles and run and walk 40 miles? Why?
That's a question I can't answer. It just seems to have been good for me, and you keep wanting to extend it and do a little more. And then I think when you get 80 years old, that's kind of a challenge. I guess when I was 65 is when I peaked about that. And I ran a marathon that year in 3 hours and 30 minutes. When I was 75 and attempted to run my age, I could still, at a pretty good clip, go a long, long way. After that run, when I ran my usual way of running, my usual miles, something would go wrong. I would have an injury of some kind. My hip would start hurting me. And then, of course, the more I trained, the more it would hurt. And do I have to back off to let it get well? that was the crisis in my running. Finally, I had a talk with myself. I said, son, it's time that you're going the other way now. You have improved all you're going to. And age is going to have its way. My objective in running had always been, after I first started and had that satisfaction of completely quieting the demons in my inner soul, or whatever you want to call it, then I knew that I always wanted to run. And so I made a decision. I said, son, you'll just have to be satisfied with what you can do as long as you can keep running.
About 55 degrees already. It is 8:11. You're on time and up to date in Hot Country, WJDR. Well, tomorrow is the big day in Prentiss. It's a young man celebrating late his 80th birthday, Mr. Jimmy Moore, who's in the studio with us. Mr. Jimmy, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You and some other folks have been talking about walking your age in kilometers or miles. Tomorrow's the day, and you're going to take off down the Longleaf Trace about, 5:30 or 6?
6.
6 o'clock.
6 a.m.
Okay.
You look up and see me running, you better see what's behind me.
That sounds like my wife. That's what she used to tell me.
Get a little bowl too.
Jimmy, go light on that gumbo now.
Oh man, I love this gumbo.
Better to mind his own business.
How long has your wife been gone now, Jimmy?
It was 7 years.
7 years.
Staples.
I remember we saw you just after that happened. Remember you came down to Don a short time after that? I was down.
Yep.
See, my wife, she's been gone 14 years now.
Well, I didn't realize it had been that
Yeah, it's
long.
been 14 years.
Isn't that something?
Time goes by fast, so you know.
It sure do. I guess my love was greatest when I was caring for her, when she had, for the year that she had cancer. You know, she died in my arms. And that, I guess there was greater love there. Than any other time. And it's, I'm not emotional because, you know, that it was a bad memory. I'm emotional because it's a good memory. She had suffered a long time, and it was time for her to go. And I don't know that she knew she died in my arms, but she knew I was there. And that was the way she would have wanted.
Heavenly Father, we ask that as we make our way down the trail today, we ask you to be with us, that you help us and guide us. Allow us to return to the starting point after having completed our goal. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Good luck. God bless.
Everybody go. Back by 4. Thank you.
Yep, have a good one.
All right, Jimmy. I see you down there.
Look how big a man you are, Jimmy.
How old were you when you started running?
57.
You started?
Yeah. and I ran my first race when I was 58.
Just follow Harry up that hill and go in his trap. See y'all down the car.
We may be old, and we may be slow, but we're gonna be there.
How much have you gone so far?
10K.
Well, good.
is all.
And you're going to go all the way?
I'm hoping to. I don't know.
I don't think I'm going to make my...
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Don. I don't know what I'd do without you.
We'll be coming around the curve in just a minute. You should be able to see us. Thank you. Thank you.
I hope when I'm 80 years old, I'm as good a shape as you are, sir.
You will be.
Well, I'm mighty proud of you.
Well, thank you. Thank you a lot. Well, I'm going to have to start real easy, though. Because when I get off that bike, I'm not coordinated.
My legs are tight.
Never dreamed that I'd get this much attention at any point in my life. Have you heard of low profiles?
Yes.
You know, I learned the importance of low profile in the Army. You know, never volunteer for anything and stay in the background. And it's a lot less stressful. What about 90?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, I don't know what I'm going to do with my 90, but I'll figure out something though.
Hey. Howdy. Morning.
Hey.
It's amazing how your pain moves from point to point. My hamstrings are not bothering at all now that it's in the hips.
In the hips.
But it'll pass on somewhere else, that's why.
You don't mind, you like that job, don't you?
Yeah, I like this job.
All right.
Thank you.
You got to stop by every bush in Prentice. That's going to help.
Well, that's what I'll have to do.
That bicycling, that helps your legs. Don't you think it's working alternated that way?
Yeah, I couldn't have made it without.
Is that a good way to do it, Jimmy?
Well, it exercises different muscles and helps you to relax.
It helped. I like it like that.
Yeah.
And are you on the bike the whole way, or are you running part way?
No, I can't run.
You on the bike.
I rode the bike all the way.
So you worked on the Illinois Central as well?
Oh, yeah. But I worked 38 and a half years. But you worked more than that, didn't you?
Yeah, I worked 41 or 42.
42. My goodness. That's a good record there. A lot of our crews gone, aren't they?
They sure
Yeah,
are.
sure are.
I just
Just
very rare
people
to
see,
see
they sure are.
anybody.
Yeah.
This is what I do best. When I'm expending energy.
That's 6.3 miles.
Downhill from here now.
That's what I'm
These
looking.
ladies, they giving you some horsepower now.
They sure
You
are.
get to eat them biscuits and sausage, he'll show out.
Y'all sure have been good to me today.
They good folks to start with. That's what.
This must be the other sister here. I see she's got a little baby.
We were over there.
Hey, I knew I'd find y'all here somewhere.
We were sitting up here waiting on you. You didn't know we was going to go out there and try to do this. We know our limits.
Y'all gonna run on in with
We're
me?
going to have a shot at it.
Sure are.
Fall off of that, man.
Hold on, Mr. Mark, let's go.
Come on, mister.
Sometimes folk make you feel like you don't have nothing of that you're not blessed enough. If you have Jesus, you have more than enough. Holy
You have to make up your mind at some point. The question, can I do this at a slower pace and, for instance, come in last at a race and still enjoy it? Or will it be a burden to just keep fighting and trying to stay in the middle of the pack, so to speak? Where I am now is just to do it. I think it prepares you for death, for leaving this world, because you come to the point where you realize that you can enjoy life right up to the end. Let me get my balance, and I'll go.
Vermont PBS, partnering with local filmmakers to bring you stories made here. For more, visit vermontpbs.org.